All right, if you're a Texas homeowner thinking about refinancing, you already know it's a jungle out there, right? The options feel endless. So today, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We've got a data-driven guide to the absolute best refinance lenders in the Lone Star State. Let's get right into it.
I mean, this is a huge financial decision, isn't it? And every single lender out there is telling you they've got the best rates, the best service. So who can you actually trust? It's that question that can honestly just stop you in your tracks.
But what if you could just ask hundreds of your fellow Texans who they'd recommend? Well, that's pretty much what we're doing today. We're diving into the My Financial Program's Community Lenders Survey. Think of it like this. It's a giant pool of advice from people who have just been through the exact same thing you're looking at right now.
Okay, so before we jump into the actual names and rankings, it's super important to know where this all comes from. Let's pull back the curtain and look at how this survey works so you can really trust the results we're about to see. Yeah, we're not talking about just a handful of online reviews here. This data comes from 921, that's right, 921 recent Texas homeowners. These are folks who have been in the trenches, shopping for and closing a refi loan within the last year. And they weren't just asked one simple question. Nope. Every lender was scored across four really important areas. First, how easy was the loan application? Second, what about the loan terms and the rate? The stuff that really matters. Third, how was the support and guidance along the way? And finally, the ultimate question, a simple yes or no. Would you recommend this lender to a friend? That's the one that tells you everything. All right, so we know the data is solid, right? We can trust it. So let's get to the good stuff. What's the first big takeaway? What does the big picture tell us about the types of lenders that Texans are happiest with? And wow, the results are really, really interesting. When you lump all the lenders together by type, a clear winner pops right out. Check this out. Credit unions are at the top, with a whopping 92% recommendation rate from Texas homeowners. They just edge out online lenders, who are at 88%, and the big banks at 86%. I mean, right there, that's an incredibly powerful first step for your search. So the message from the data is loud and clear. If you're starting your refinance journey in Texas, looking at credit unions first is probably a very, very smart move. Okay, so we've seen the 30,000-foot view. Now let's zoom in. Let's put a spotlight on the specific lenders that really crushed it in the survey. And we'll start with the ones that you can use no matter where you are in Texas. So, first up, online lenders. These are a fantastic place to start, obviously, because of the convenience and their statewide reach. So, who are the big winners in the digital world according to Texans? Okay, here are your top three. Coming in at number one with a massive 96% recommendation rate is Rocket Mortgage. Just behind them, you've got Better.com at a very strong 94%. And look who's here again. Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union, or RBFCU, also has a fantastic online presence, pulling in a 92%. So that 96% for Rocket Mortgage, that is huge. What is it that makes them the clear favorite among online lenders? Well, this really explains it all. They scored a perfect 5.0 out of 5 for their application process. Homeowners just found it incredibly simple and smooth. When you combine that ease of use with a 96% would recommend score, yeah, you can see why they're at the top of the list. But hey, online isn't the only game in town, right? Sometimes the best option is right in your own backyard. So let's shift gears and look at a major city. We'll use Houston as our example to see who homeowners there are recommending the most. And take a look at this. We're seeing some familiar names and a really strong pattern emerge. Topping the list in each town is Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union again with 94%. Right behind is Frost Bank at 91%, and then another credit union, Security Service, at 89%. You seeing the theme here? Two of the top three are credit unions. That's no accident. So what's the deal with RBFCU? What makes them such a powerhouse, not just online, but on the ground in a huge market like Houston? Again, the data tells the story. They scored a nearly perfect 4.9 out of 5 specifically for their loan terms and rates. When you dig into the comments, people were constantly praising their, and I quote, industry-leading refinance rates and what users called a seamless digital application process. That combo is clearly a winner. Okay, we've looked at the data from all angles, the big picture, the online world, and a local market. So what do you do with all this? Let's boil it all down into some clear, actionable steps you can take right now. So here are the key takeaways. Number one, the data screams this. Start your search by looking at credit unions.
Number 2, definitely compare the top online lenders we talked about. Their convenience and rates are hard to beat. 3, don't forget to check who the top dogs are in your specific city, because local know-how can make a huge difference. And finally, and this is the most important one, no matter what, always, always compare multiple options before you sign on the dotted line.
You know, we only had time to shine a light on Houston today, but the full survey covers Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, you name it. For the complete city-by-city breakdown and a bunch of other great resources, make sure you check out the links we've dropped in the description below.
So, there you have it. You are now armed with real recommendations from hundreds of your fellow Texas homeowners. So the only question left is, where are you going to start? Are you going to check out a top-rated credit union first? Or are you going to test drive the super convenient online lenders? Your smart, informed search. Well, it starts right now.